welcome, metal enthusiasts, to a special edition of the Metal Dude Abides. Now, if you've been watching the channel for the last few weeks, you've noticed that this channel is mostly dedicated to the history of heavy metal, going back over the last 50 years to look at the best songs, the best albums, and the best artists. But today we're going to do something a little bit differently. Today we are going to look at something a little more current, in that one of the bands that we've talked about recently put out a brand new album. We thought we'd give it a quick review and let you know how it is. So if you go back to our series on the greatest heavy metal songs of all time, going back to number 68, you'll find the band U.D.O, led by the infamous, legendary lead singer U.D.O Dirkschneider. Now, U.D.O Dirkschneider, of course, was the former lead singer of Accept, but he was unceremoniously kicked out of the band, fired, if you will, back in 1987. And he did a solo album that we talked about on our list of great albums. In 1987, the album was called Animal House, one of the most underrated albums in the history of heavy metal. Just one of those hidden gems that just has so many good songs. Now, the issue with that album is that it was largely written by Accept themselves. Every song on that album was written by Accept. So going forward, U.D.O, of course, had to write his own music. Now, fast forward. U.D.O is now on his 18th solo album. Again, spanning, what are we doing here, 35 years? That's a ton of time and a ton of albums. And I will say that none of his albums that he had put out, in my opinion, approached the greatness of the very first one, Animal House. So we'll see how this one does. Again, released just a couple of weeks ago in May of 2023. The album's name is Touchdown. Now, for those of you who watch the channel, you know I love a good banger to start off an album, something really fast, something that really sets the mood. One thing I will always give credit for U.D.O is he loves to get it going and get something going fast. And he does that right off the bat with the opening track, Isolation Man. Now, the first thing you're going to notice about this song, in my opinion, is the drums. And the drummer might have a familiar last name as well. Sven Dirkschneider, who is U.D.O's son. Keeping metal in the family. Very nice. But obviously, I'd never heard of Sven before, never heard his work. He is an excellent drummer, and again, stands out on this track right off the bat. It is an excellent way to start the album. I love Isolation Man. I was discussing with a friend of mine the other day that it's one of those phenomenons that you see in a lot of our music now, a lot of metal music, reflecting on the terrible year that was 2020, where we were all isolated, we were all basically trapped in our own homes, wondering if we were going to live from day to day. The post-COVID songs that have been written recently have really showed how much that damaged our psyche, how much it still lingers with us. This is an excellent song talking about that time. Now, this album starts off hot, starts out great, but in true U.D.O form, he does not let up an instant. The next three songs are also all really good, really fast, really bangers. It starts with the song The Flood. And right off the bat, you start to get the feeling that even though we're all here for U.D.O, the real stars of this album are the guitars. Andrei Smirnov and Fabian D. Dammers are the two guitarists on this album. Again, not real familiar with these two, but let me tell you something. If this is any indication of their work, they are going to be a force. This song is just dripping with great guitar riffs, great solos, really catchy stuff, but also heavy stuff. Really enjoyed the guitars on this. If you're a fan of the old 80s heavy metal, boy, these guitar riffs are just right out of that playbook. Really good stuff. The third song is Double Dealers Club, and then Fight for the Right. Now, Fight for the Right is an interesting song, and maybe one of my favorites on the album, in that it's really kind of a throwback to the classical roots that we used to see in Accept. For those of you who may or may not be familiar, Wolfgang Hoffmann, who was the guitarist for Accept, often put in classical pieces of music into the song in a very heavy way. This kind of is an ode to that kind of style, and I happen to dig, those classical influence songs. Fight for the Right has that classical root to it, really good. And again, Isolation Man, Fight for the Right, two of the best songs on the album already. Then we go to Forever Free. Now, Forever Free seems like it's kind of that hit single that people put on an album. It's a tad more commercial than the first four songs that we've heard. Still fast, and it is an oddly inspirational track. Really good stuff. Again, maybe a tad bit more commercial than the first four, but nothing, cheesy, nothing, sappy. Really good stuff. Again, maybe this is one of those songs that's structured in a way to be a hit single. And then, of course, and I love this pacing, because then you go from that little bit of a commercial vibe and a speedy vibe. Again, we've been moving fast this whole time. U.D.O slows it down right here with the song Punchline. Now, he slows it down, but it's got that darker atmosphere. I don't mind. In fact, I enjoy a good shift in momentum here. It's time to take it down a notch. It's time to kind of reset the bar, if you will. This song is slower, it's darker, and has maybe my favorite riff on the entire album. Punchline takes it down a notch, but does it excellent. That's followed by Sad Man Show. Again, another one of my favorite tracks on this album, where U.D.O puts the pedal to the metal again, speeds up, really heavy, really fast. I really like the way that U.D.O, mixes in the speed with the dark and slower, because he goes right back to the darker, right back to the slower with the next song, Betrayer. U.D.O in this song, the legendary singer, really is growls out the chorus in this song. It's very intense. I really like this song. Follow that up with the Heroes of Freedom. You guessed it, we go right back, pedal to the metal, hit the gas. We go back to kind of a speed metal type of song. Really good. And then the last few tracks here, Better Start to Run, another banger, really good. Battle Understood, really catchy chorus. This thing's heavy, it moves, it's catchy, really like it. Battle Understood is again one of my favorite tracks on the album. And then we hit Living Hell. It's got a nice riff, but I sensed for the first time in this entire album, maybe we're losing a little bit of steam. Maybe we're kind of starting to run out of oomph, if you will. And then comes Touchdown. Now, I'll be the first to admit, when I saw this was a album with a giant silver football on the cover, and it had a song about football in it, I was a little skeptical. Thought it might be a little cheesy, but might even be cringy. I wasn't sure what to expect. Not at all. This thing is a huge finale, a great closer to the show. Really an epic, fast, heavy way, fun way to end the album. So again, across the entire album, I think it's a fairly long album. I think I read 54 minutes. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 songs on the album. All of them really good. Again, a good mix of fast, catchy. You have, some power metal in here. You have more classical metal in here. It's a really nice blend. Overall, I'm very surprised to be saying this, but I'm going to go and say that I'm highly recommending this album, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the best U.D.O album of all time. I always held Animal House in the high regard way back again in 1987, the very first solo album. I think, there's a little bit of recency bias, I assume, but, at the same point, I think this one is the topper, the greatest album in the U.D.O collection. So obviously, go out and get it. You'll be glad you did. Um, anyway, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be doing some more album reviews in the coming weeks. Got some surprises coming up. So in the meantime, take care, and we'll see you soon.